I'm sure of it, said Fudge shortly. You know that the Dementors have searched my pub twice, said Madame Rosemaretta, a slight edge to her voice. Scared all my customers away. It's very bad for business, Minister. Rosemaretta, my dear, I don't like them any more than you do, said Fudge uncomfortably. Necessary precaution. Unfortunate. But there you are. I've just met some of them. They're in a fury against Dumbledore. He won't let them inside the castle grounds. I should think not, said Professor McGonagall sharply. How are we supposed to teach with those horrors floating around? Here, here, squeaked Professor Flitwick. Those feet dangling a foot off the ground. All the same, demurred Fudge. They are here to protect you all from something much worse. We all know what Black's capable of. Do you know I will have trouble I still have trouble believing it, said Madame Rosemaretta thoughtfully. Of all the people to go over to the dark side, Sirius Black was the last one I'd have thought. I remember him when he was a boy at Hogwarts. If you told me that he was going to become what he was going to become, I'd have said you had to become too much mead. You don't know the half of it, Rosemaretta, said Fudge gruffly. The worst he did isn't widely known. The worst? Said Madame Rosemaretta, her voice alive with curiosity. Worse than murdering all those poor people, you mean? I certainly do, said Fudge. I can't believe that. What could possibly be worse? You say you remember him at Hogwarts, Rosemaretta, murmured Professor McGonagall. Do you remember who his best friend was? Well, naturally, said Madame Rosemaretta, with a small laugh. Never saw one without the other, did you? The number of times I had them in here, they used to make me laugh. Quite the double act, Sirius Black and James Potter. Harry dropped his tankard with a loud clank. Ron kicked him. Precisely, said Professor McGonagall. Black and Potter, ringleaders of their own little game, but both were very bright, of course, exceptionally bright, in fact. But I don't think we've ever had such a pair of troublemakers. I don't know, chuckled Hagrid. Fred and George Weasley could give 'em a run for their money. Huh, you'd have thought Black and Potter were brothers, chimed in Professor Flitwick. Inseparable. Of course they were, said Fudge. Potter trusted Black beyond all his other friends. Nothing changed when he left school. Black was best man at James and Lily's wedding. When they named him godfather to Harry, Harry has no idea, of course. You can't imagine how the idea would torment him. Because Black turned out to be in a league with you-know-who, whispered Madame Rosemaretta. Worse even than that, my dear. Fudge dropped his voice and proceeded in a slow sort of rumble. Not many people are aware. The Potters knew you-know-who was after them. Dumbledore, who was, of course, working tirelessly against you-know-who, had a number of useful spies. One of them tipped him off, and he alerted James and Lily at once. He advised them to go into hiding. Well, of course, you-know-who wasn't an easy person to hide from. Dumbledore told them that their best chance was to do the fiddler's charm. How does that work? Said Madame Rosemaretta, breathless in interest. Professor Flitwick cleared his throat. It's an immensely complex spell, he said squeakily, involving magical concealment of a secret inside of a single living soul. The information is hidden inside the chosen person, a secret keeper, and he is henceforth impossible to find, unless, of course, the secret keeper chooses to divulge it. As though the secret keeper is refused to speak, you-know-who could search the village, and Lily and James were staying for years and never find them, not even if he had a nose pressed against the sitting-room window. So Black was Potter's secret keeper? Whispered Rosemaretta. Naturally, said Professor McGonagall. James told Dumbledore that Black would die rather than tell anybody where they were, that Black was planning to go into hiding himself, and yet Dumbledore remained worried. I remember him offering to be the Potter's secret keeper himself. He suspected Black? Gasped Madame Rosemerta. He was sure that somebody close to the Potters had been keeping you-know-who informed of their movements, said Professor McGonagall darkly. Indeed. He had suspected for some time that someone on our side had been turned a traitor and was passing a lot of information to you-know-who. But James Potter insisted on using Black? He did, said Fudge heavily, and then, barely a week after Fidelis' charm had been performed, Black betrayed them, breathed Madame Rosemerta. He did indeed. Black was tired of his double agent role. He was ready to declare support openly for you-know-who, and he seems to have planned this for the moment for the Potter's death. But, as we all know, you-know-who met his downfall in little Harry Potter. Powers gone, horribly weakened, he fled, and this left Black in a very nasty position indeed. His master had failed. The very moment when he, Black, had shown his true colors as a traitor. He had no choice but to make a run for it. Filthy, stinking turncoat, Hagrid said, so loudly that half of the bar went silent. Shh, said Professor McGonagall. I met him, growled Hagrid. I must have been the last to see him before he killed all them people. It was me that rescued Harry from Lily and James' house after they were killed. Just got him out of the ruins, poor little thing. And a great slash across his forehead, and his parents dead, and Sirius Black turns up on that flying motorcycle he never used to ride. Never occurred to me he was doing there. I didn't know he'd been Lily and James' secret keeper. Thought he just heard the news, you-know-who attacked, and come out to see what he could do. And with a shaking he was, yeah, you know what he did? I comfort the murdering traitor, Hagrid roared. Hagrid, please, said McGonagall. Keep your voice down. How was I to know? He wasn't upset about Lily and James. It was you-know-who cared, all he cared about. And then he says, give Harry to me. Hagrid, I'm his godfather. I'll look after him. Ha! But I'd had me orders from Dumbledore, and I told Black no. Dumbledore said Harry were to go to his aunt and uncle. Black argued, but in the end, he gave and told me to take his motorbike to get Harry there. I won't need it anymore, he says. I should have known there was something fishy going on then. He loved that motorbike. What was he giving it to me for? Why wouldn't he need it anymore? Fact was, it was too easy to trace. Dumbledore knew he'd been Potter's secret keeper. Black knew he was going to have to run for it that night. He knew it was a matter of hours before the Ministry came after him. But what if I'd given Harry to him, eh? I bet he'd have pinched him off the bike halfway out to sea. His best friend's son. But when a wizard goes over to the dark side, there's nothing and no one that matters to him anymore. A long silence followed Hagrid's story. Then Madame Rosemerta said with some satisfaction, But he didn't manage to disappear, did he? The Ministry of Magic caught up with him the next day. Oh, alas, only if we had, said Fudge bitterly. It was not we who found him. It was a little Peter Pettigrew, another of Potter's friends, maddened by grief, no doubt, and knowing that Black had been Potter's secret keeper, he went after Black himself. Pettigrew? That fat little boy who was always tagging along with him at Hogwarts, said Madame Rosemerta. Hero, whispered Black and Potter, said Professor McGonagall. Never quite in their league, talent-wise. It was often rather sharp with him. You know, you can imagine how I regret that now. She sounded as though she had a sudden head cold. There's no there now, Minerva, said Fudge kindly. Pettigrew died. A hero's death. Eyewitnesses, muggles, of course. We wiped their memories later. Told us the Pettigrew cornered Black. They say he was sobbing. Lily and James, Sirius? How could you? And then they went for his wand. Well, of course, Black was quicker. blew Pettigrew to smithereens. Professor McGonagall blew her nose and thickly said, "Stupid boy, foolish boy, always hopeless at doodling. Ugh, should have left that to the ministry." "I tell you, if I'd get to Black before Pettigrew did, I wouldn't have messed around with no wands. I'd have ripped him limb from limb," Hagrid growled. "You don't know what you're talking about, Hagrid," said Fudge sharply. "Nobody but trained hit wizards from Magical Law Enforcement Squad could have stood a chance against Black once he was cornered. I was junior minister of the Department of Magic Catastrophes at the time, and I was one of the first on the scene after Black murdered all those people. I will never forget it. I still dream about it sometimes. A crater in the middle of the street, so deep it had cracked the sewer below, bodies everywhere, muggles screaming, and Black standing there laughing, with what was left of Pettigrew in front of him, a heap of blood-stained robes, and a few fragments. Fudge's voice sharply stopped abruptly, and there was a sound of 5 noses being blown. "Well, there you have it, Rosmerta," said Fudge thickly. "Black was taken away by 20 members of the Magical Law Enforcement Squad, and Pettigrew received an Order of Maryland, first class, which I think was some comfort to his poor mother. Black has been in Azkaban ever since." Madame Rosmerta let out a sigh. "Is it true he's mad, Minister?" "Oh, I wish I could say that he was," Fudge said slowly. "I certainly believe his master's defeat unhinged him a little for a while. The murder of Pettigrew and all those muggles was the action of a cornered, desperate, cruel man, cruel and pointless. Yet I met Black on my last inspection of Azkaban. You know, most of the prisoners in there sit muttering to themselves in the dark, and there's no sense in them. But I was shocked at how normal Black seemed. He spoke quite rationally to me. He was unnerving. You'd have thought he was merely bored. Asked if I'd finish with my newspaper, cool as you please. He was missed during crosswords, said. Yes, I was astounded how little effect the Dementors seemed to be having on them. And he was one of the most heavily guarded in the place, you know. Dementors outside his door all day and night. But what do you think he's broken out to do? Said Madame Pomfrey. Good gracious, Minister, isn't he trying to rejoin you-know-who, is he? I dare say that he is. Eventual plan, said Fudge evasively. But we hope to catch Black long before that. I must say, you-know-who, alone and friendless is one thing, but give him back more of his devoted servants. I shudder to think how quickly he'll rise again. And there was a dull, small clink of glass on the wood. Someone had set down their glass. You know, Cornelius, if you're dining with the headmaster, we'd better head back to the castle, said Professor McGonagall. One by one, the pair of feet in front of Harry took weight of their owners, and once more, hems and cloaks swung into right, and Madame Rosmerta's glittering heels disappeared behind the bar. The door of the Three Broomsticks opened again. There was another flurry of snow, and the teachers disappeared. Harry? Ron and Hermione's faces appeared under the table. They were both staring at him, lost for words.